Sligo Jazzers. In our little segment on practicing this week, we talked about practicing technical things separately. So things that are not necessarily musical pieces, but are technical building blocks of music, like scales, arpeggios, rhythms. I'm going to give you 4 scale exercises that you can use. They're, on the one hand, they're simple. On the other hand, if you don't know how to do them, they're not simple yet. You need to practice them every day. And I like to think of some patterns as digital patterns. That means we can describe them by numbers. So in the key of C, if I say 1, 2, 3, 1, I mean C, D, E, C. 1, 2, 3, 1 of the C major scale. This is the first pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1. Let's move that down in half steps. B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C. Okay, it's a simple pattern, but like I said, if you can't play it in all 12 keys, it's going to give you some problems. Figure out where those problem areas are. On the bass, you know, once I get to A flat, that's a dark corner of the bass down here. So it takes a little bit of thinking to make sure my hands land on the right spots to get that 1, 2, 3, 1 pattern. Okay, let's take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So all that is are the first 5 notes of the scale, up and back down. Okay, in this case, let's move it around the cycle of fourths, or the cycle of fifths, depending on which direction you're going. I'm going to start on C, go to F, go to B flat, to E flat, to A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, back to C. That's all 12 keys. If you're not familiar with the cycle of fourths and fifths, Google it, and it's a great way to practice any of these patterns. So here's our second pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll do 8th notes at this tempo. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2, now to F. Now to B flat, 3, 4. Now to E flat. A flat, now to D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, and back to C. So once you get comfortable with that, see if you can play it at a faster tempo. Yeah, and incorporate that into your improvised lines. Okay, the third scale pattern. We all know, if you see in a book, say a C major scale, usually they'll write it out root to root and back down. And that's how we practice scales quite often, is from the root. But in real life circumstances, you don't always play a scale from the root. You play it from other notes, and you don't always play ascending and then descending. So what we're going to do is hit the root, go up to the major 7 of the major scale, and come down the scale. So what I'm doing is I'm playing the root C, and then I'm grabbing the major 7th. F. Now B flat. Now E flat. A flat. Now D flat. Now G flat. Once you get comfortable with that, you can practice without playing the root first. Just target the major 7. And just play from the major 7 down from every key. And you can go around the cycle of fifths, down in half steps, up in half steps, down in whole steps, up in whole steps. That's a valuable exercise to know. Okay, here's exercise number 4, scale exercise number 4. Now we've been playing C starting on the major 7, but let's start on the 9th. So if we play a C major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the root of an octave. The note we call the 9th is a whole step up from the root. So I'm on D, and we're going to play down from the 9th. Okay, so we're in the key of C major, but I'm starting on the 9th. And we'll play 8th notes. This time, let's go down in half steps. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and C sharp, B flat starting on C, A major starting on B, A flat starting on B flat, D flat starting on, oh no, key of G. Key of G flat, starting on A flat. F, starting on G. E, starting on F sharp. Now we're going to go to E flat, starting on F. Key of D, starting on E. Starting on E flat. We're back to the key of C, starting on D. 4 patterns from pretty simple to a little complicated. If you can get those 4 patterns worked into your scale practice every day, I guarantee you that in a couple of months, you're going to be flying through the changes much better than you were. Okay, keep swinging. See you soon.
Now, as much as I sometimes wish I was born in a different era, one of the great things that you can use to your advantage is technology. If I ever have difficulty learning a solo, or if there's a section that I'm not quite hearing all the way, I will slow it down. Now, this can be done on YouTube. If you go into the settings and then go into playback settings, you can slow down a portion of the solo. There are also great apps such as the amazing Slowdowner, which I believe you can do the same thing. I've never used it, but I've heard it highly recommended. I would suggest, however, that if you are going to slow down portions of a solo, that you get that portion up to speed and put it together at the original tempo. This way you're not stuck in the slowed down version, because again, the goal is to get up to tempo. So I would learn that melodic fragment slowed down and then immediately try to get it up to tempo and put it all together. And that brings me to my next point. Do not move on to another portion of the solo until you have the section before 100%. I find that if you move on to the next section, things tend to get sloppy, and then you sort of have weak areas in the solo. I personally believe in quality over quantity, because at the end of the day, if you learn the completed solo, but there are a lot of gray areas, a lot of, sections that aren't exactly accurate, then it's not really going to benefit you at the end of the day. I personally wouldn't suggest moving on to a new section until the sections beforehand are solid. So again, I think that it is important to have repetition when you're learning these solos. I think that it is important that if there is a section that is difficult for you, to use the technology that's available for you and slow things down. But once you do slow it down, try your best to get it up to tempo as soon as possible and put it all together. And then do not move on until the sections beforehand are solid. This way, we can get as accurate as possible and make sure that there aren't any weak areas in the solos that we're neglecting.
Permutation number 3. This is the numbers 1, 2, 3, 5. And you can keep going round and round and around and just build up the speed gradually, just don't rush it. I always say to my students, take your time with these, because, you got to really try and get them under your fingers without kind of like tripping up, and so forth. So you can just keep going round and round and do it as fast as slow as you like. And you can hear the kind of like the giant steps movement where Coltrane would use this, That system, that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5 is such a powerful way of moving around the cycle of fours. Okay, so that is permutation number 3. you can also play these chromatically as well, so they sound quite unique. And then you can come down the same way, but 1, 2, 3, 5. I first heard Dewey Redman play these permutations on an album, Live in London, Dewey Redman, Live in London. Check it out. It's the way he uses these permutations is absolutely beautiful.
Hi everyone, welcome back to this next video. Today I'd like to talk about upper structures. I spoke about these last year for those of you who tuned in, and it's really worth repeating them because they're such an important part of modern jazz piano playing, and they can really take your playing to the next level. So stay tuned, you'll get a few ideas about how they work and how to use them. See you in a sec. How many times have you listened to a jazz record and heard somebody play something that sounds like this? I remember being a student and listening to this kind of thing and thinking that those notes just didn't seem to be on my piano. No matter what I did, I couldn't get that crunchy sound. So let's talk about that crunchy sound over the C7. Yes, that really is C sharp minor. It's a C sharp minor triad over C7. Remember, this music is really founded upon tension and release, and the more tension we can put into the dominant chord, which already has a lot of tension in it, the better the release onto F major. So let's talk about naming and how we would identify this chord. It always happens in a 2-5-1, in this case G minor, C7, F major. And I call this upper structure the minor flattened second, because it's a minor chord, a flattened second above C. So I've got C7 in the left hand. And C sharp minor. It's important to note as well, it's not C sharp minor 7, because that B would clash with the B flat from the C7 chord. That's a little bit too crunchy even for me. So let's try this in the key of G. I would start with A minor. When I get up to my D7, I'm thinking about a minor flattened second, so it's a flattened second higher, must be E flat, it's E flat minor. Let me play that one more time. E flat minor over D7. So this works whenever you're comping. It'll work when you're soloing. And it's just one of those great sounds that can really give you that sound of what modern jazz sounds like. These days I could barely play a gig without playing an upper structure. In fact, I could probably barely get through an entire chorus without playing an upper structure. I remember the first time I heard them and the first time I understood how to play them, and yeah, a whole world just opened up. So more than delighted to share that with you guys today. Thanks very much. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Welcome back to day 3, and hello again. Let's get ready. Are you ready in your body? You nicely relaxed, stretched turn your head from side to side. Let's take a breath in through the nose as you take a shoulder roll. and down. Okay, good. Nice and tall, shoulders back and down. We're going to be talking today about root position triads and first inversion triads, because triads feature a lot in melodies, and in this particular song we're going to learn, which is a secret, we are going to be using the first inversion triad quite a lot. So I want to show you the difference. First of all, we're going to do root position triads, which you all have heard a lot. So let's sing those through to VRVRV, and we're going to keep it nice and bright, nice and easy. Don't work too hard on it. Just let the sound out naturally. Here we go. 3, 4. VRVRV, 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 VRVRV. Nice and bright. Keep going. Drop that jaw on the R. VRVRV. 2 more. VRVRV. VRVRV. Let's come back down again through those. VRVRV. VRVRV. Shoulders back and down. VRVRV. Making sure your chin's not jutting forward. That's it. With a small smile on your face. VRVRV. Nice and bright in the eyes. VRVRV. Okay, we're going to shift now to a different spacing of the notes of a triad. So we're now going to do a first inversion triad, and that's going to sound more like this. Okay, let's do those together. Try it with me. VRVRV, VRVRV. Just get used to the intervals. VRVRV. Get used to the way that those notes relate to each other. VRVRV, VRVRV. Slightly different. VRVRV. 2 more. VRVRV, VRVRV. Let's bring them down from the top this time. VRV, 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 VRV. 2 more. VRV. Shoulders back and down. VRV. I'm saying that as much to myself as I am to you. Always clocking in with those little things, making sure your body's at the optimum for getting your voice out, that you haven't done any weird sort of, turning your head, lifting your chin. So see if you can practice that one a few times before tomorrow, okay? See you tomorrow.
Hi Sligo family. Today we're going to talk about an absolutely amazing musician by the name of Carla Bley. Carla Bley was born Lovella May Borg in 1936 in Oakland in California. And she started playing the piano very early. She learned from her father, who was involved with the church. but wasn't totally interested in jazz until at some point she decided she wanted to go and hear Miles Davis. So she drove across the country to New York with a friend and slept in the Grand Central Station until she could find an apartment and also a job. She began working at Birdland as a cigarette girl, and that's where she got a chance to hear many, many famous musicians, including Miles, Basie, Coltrane, Lester Young, many, many different amazing artists. She also met Paul Bley, great piano player, and they ended up getting married. And when she was traveling around with him, she got to hear a lot of amazing people as well, because he played in bands like Ornette Coleman's quartet and others as well. So yeah, and he encouraged her to start writing her own compositions, and he played a lot of them, as did Steve Swallow, who is her current partner. They've been together for a long time. And that's why you find a lot of Carla Bley pieces actually showing up in places you might not expect, like in Art Farmer's quintet. So her compositions have been played by many people, also Jaco Pastorius. So yeah, really fascinating woman. Later on in her career, she started writing for larger ensembles. She had a sextet and also her own big band. At one point, she also composed an opera, which she actually called a chronotransduction, together with the poet Paul Haynes. And there were some really amazing feature guests on that album, including Linda Ronstadt and Jack Bruce. Carla worked together with Charlie Hayden for a lot of his life, especially with the Liberation Music Orchestra. She did a lot of arranging and composing for that orchestra, and continues to write and tour to this day. Actually, her main project, I would say, in the last 10 years or so, has been a trio with Andy Shepherd and Steve Swallow. One of the things I really love about Carla's music is that she's not afraid to use influences from all different sorts of music. And you can hear that on various albums of Gary Burton that she collaborated on. Also with Nick Mason, the drummer from Pink Floyd. She wrote music for his album Fictitious Sports. So yeah, a really, really interesting character, and I'm so glad that we can still get to listen to her live. She's still touring at, I think, age 85 or something. So yeah, Carla Bley, a huge inspiration for me also personally and musically.
Robson with another little micro lesson for Sligo Jazz Festival. I thought it'd be nice to look at just a simple soloing idea using like a really minimal idea, which is a pentatonic. And if you're anything like me and you got into playing guitar because you were into rock music or blues, you'll be very familiar with pentatonics as a concept. So probably I'm doing this in the key of D minor. You would have probably learnt this as one of the first kind of soloing ideas that you played on guitar. I'll just play it real quick. You know, that kind of pentatonic, which is a minor pentatonic. And just to quickly say that pentatonic just means 5 notes, of course. So there are actually pentatonics from all around the world, which are, there's Japanese pentatonics, there's Indian ones, there's all kinds of variations and combinations of 5 notes. So there's many, many more than that kind of blues rock one that we all learn first. So I thought it'd be nice to just look at one which I kind of associate with John Coltrane and kind of modal kind of a sound, but people use it a lot today as well, and it's great for playing on one chord and stuff. And instead of a minor 7th pentatonic, which that one was, the only difference is it's a minor 6th pentatonic. So instead of D, F, G, A, C, like the one we played before, there's one difference, which is we play the root note, D, then we play the minor 3rd, F, and then we play G, which is the 4th, A, which is the 5th, and instead of the 7th, we play B, which is the 6th, and then we're back on the root. So that's your 5 notes there, D, F, G, A, B. And I thought it would, I'll just play a bit and we'll see what it sounds like. I think it has a more floaty sound than the other one. See what you think. Here's a little bass line. I'm going to strap myself in here and try and play along with a little loopy bass line, D minor kind of thing I did. So here's the notes. I'll just play around with it. Cheated there and played C. Go with your ears. So if you wanted to really get into this, we could talk about loads of ideas, but once you've really got the shape under your fingers, experiment with moving it around to get a more outside sound. So I'm going to move it down a tone. Check this out, see what you like this. That's that one. Here's a C minor one. It's pretty dissonant, but it's pretty cool as well. So if you mix them up, you can get like a, So let's just stop my little loop. So I hope that just gives you a fun idea, but of moving shapes around really, and just playing with different combination of notes, and it's worth investigating all the wonderful and weird and wonderful pentatonics that are out there. So hope that gives you something just to try if you've never tried that before. Thanks for listening.
Okay, hello again. Alright. In this video we're going to talk about the snare drum. The first thing I'd say is what sort of sound do you want to get out of it? I mean, I always try to take the edges off any sound I make to make it as warm and blending as possible. I don't really like sounds that cut through music. I like them to blend with the other sounds going on around them. So with the snare drum, the first thing is I don't want to be digging in with the drum. I want to get that stick tip off of the head as soon as possible. So I just bounce it. 1, 2. This is my gig. I've told you. And the same with the other hand. Now I play with my hands looking different. I like the fact that the two hands sound slightly different. I don't want anything to sound exactly the same. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for vibe. I'm desperate for it. But this is just the same really, because look, the hand's like that, but I just put the stick in that way and do the same thing, just bouncing the stick on the drum head. And always listening to the sound. Where do I want to play to get the sound? If I want a quiet sound, I might play at the edge of the head. I might play for a more fuller sound towards the middle of the head. But be conscious, always play by ear. So you're listening to the sound you make and trying to get that sound that you hear in your head. So just bouncing, I'm not digging in, I'm not doing it. And basically I'm bouncing, if that stick head is a ball, which is not, but if it was, I'd be bouncing it on the surface of the drum, just allowing the stick to move. And allowing the fingers to keep it in motion, but nothing's forced. The bigger the stroke, the more I start to bring arms in. There you go. Now, when I'm playing a roll, the technique I use is just to roll the sticks across the drum head. See how many bounces you can get. It doesn't have to be even. I'm not looking for evenness at the moment, I'm just looking for bounce. See if I can get this. We get a roll that sounds like a circus drummer, I suppose. I then, whenever I'm playing music with a beat, I'm trying to roll in rhythm. So if I'm playing and I play I'm just playing eggs and bacon again. Comes back to that thing. Or you could play so everything is an extension of the time. If I'm rolling in time, it just helps that sort of slushing 1, a 2, a 3, a 4 feel. Even if I'm playing really, really slowly, I'll still be the same thing, but it will be rolling in triplets. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Is moving, everything, the whole body is moving together and to get this pulse, this flow. And the other thing about the roll, and whenever I'm playing a phrase, it's never static, it's always heading somewhere. It's not just like this, very, very even, it's do ba ya da bit up bit do ba u ba. It's heading generally to the end of the phrase. So I'm playing a roll, even if it's meant to be level volume-wise, I'm still aiming for. I'm still aiming for that last beat. As a little button on the beginning. Okay, I think I've said enough. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Federico Malaman and welcome to my channel. In today's practice along, you will find a new way to warm up using the major scale in all keys. This exercise will also help you to consolidate a standard 1-octave position, and it could be something that you can use to create riffs or licks for one of your songs. You never know. In practice, we will be following the scale up the fretboard in one key, and then down the fretboard in the next key or the previous one. It's easier to play than it is to tell you. So let's have a look right now. Sorry for the quick interruption, but if you are enjoying these exercises, you might also want to check out the Ultimate Bass Bundle, a video course library that I created to help you increase your bass dexterity and much more. Check out the link in the description, and using this code YT30, you will get it with 30 euros discount. And now let's get crazy.
So, working on our sound for saxophone players. This also came, I kind of thought about this when I was playing the flute. Because when we play the flute, we pitch down. So we blow to, so if you're standing, you kind of imagine that you're blowing to the skeleton board. That was, you know, all teachers taught that way years ago. So you blow this way, you're not blowing that way. And a lot of saxophone players, when they start, or even they're developing, getting more advanced, they kind of still imagine that you blow, because the saxophone is this way, especially the tenor and the altos a little bit, that you're blowing straight ahead. So if I blow straight ahead, so I'm blowing straight ahead. So my embouchure is offset. So the key to this is like the flute. So when you're holding the sax where your thumb is on the thumb rest, I want you to blow, aim as if you were blowing down to your thumb. Now this pulls your embouchure down and it makes you tense your embouchure, which we want a little bit more elasticated on it. Tense your embouchure and blow. So when I'm blowing, I'm not blowing that way. Cracks up, everything goes. I'm blowing down through the reed. Think of you're blowing into the reed, but you can imagine that you're blowing to your thumb. So as you're going up the octave a bit, you're pointing up a little bit more, probably up to the top stalk here. So I'm really imagining I'm blowing down. And it opens up the cavity in your mouth as well if you're blowing down here. So it's a really good way of practicing. Try it out, but make sure you take your time and get the embouchure taut as well, and that really help.
Okay, howdy do everyone. Welcome back to lesson 3 of The Power of 40. And this time we're going to apply the concept to practicing scales. So I'm just going to start with the chromatic scale. Crotchet on 40 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. etc., etc., etc. So yeah, let's try, and maybe you heard me, there's a little movement with the time. Notice that you will slip out of time, because then with the metronome on, you're having to be aware of where the metronome is and correct the time, which you'll probably see me doing in the next demonstration as well, especially whenever we're moving into 320 beats per minute, because that's quite tricky and actually will require a lot of time spent just playing that in itself. So let's try the bebop scale, bebop scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, Yeah, so again, you can hear a little bit of movement there where it's not quite accurate on the trying to catch that metronome on beat 3 of every other bar at that tempo, 320 beats per minute. And of course I haven't warmed up yet, but if I was in my practice schedule, I'd probably be more accurate than that. But there's still a lot of work there to do on that for me. So that's definitely for the advanced players. So the other great thing is that, you know, you're really having to be aware, as I was saying, of where the metronome is, which encourages you to be aware of an external always. So if you fall out of time, you have to quickly correct it. This is a great for when you're playing with other musicians. All right, let's try one more scale. We'll try the pentatonic scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so thank you. That's applying the power of 40 to scales.
Okay, so another important part of being a trumpet player, especially in well, in any genre of music, but certainly in big band music because it's very physically demanding, is stamina issues. So how do we deal with kind of building up stamina? I think one thing that you have to be prepared to do is to kind of push the limits of your physicality. Not crazy, not too much, but just push the boundaries when you practice, rather than kind of trying to save it and always making it feel, you know, as soon as things start getting tough, stopping. I think it's important to rest, of course, and it's important to not do any damage, but it's equally important to just push things a little bit. You know, if you're kind of trying to build up, you know, how much you can bench press if you're weightlifting, every now and again, you know, if you've got a personal trainer or whatever, they're going to add a little bit more weight that maybe you couldn't do a week ago, but you'll push through and you'll be able to do it. It's kind of the same with building stamina on the trumpet, I think. One good exercise that I certainly did a lot when I was younger was there's a really great book called Musical Calisthenics for Brass, and I can't remember the author of it, so I'll need to try and remember that as this video goes. Anyway, Musical Calisthenics for Brass, it's a really famous book and it's really easy to find. One of the exercises goes something like this. I'll do a kind of condensed version of it. So it starts on a middle G, you do a breath attack, and then you tongue the next 2 Gs, and then you have a bar's rest. And the important thing is, during the bar's rest, you keep the mouthpiece on your lips and you try not to move anything. So you're just holding this shape and you're holding the kind of pressure, whatever pressure you're using, you hold it. You don't change it during the rest. So okay, so that keeps going up chromatically until you get to C, and then when you get to that C for the first time, you go back down to the G and you repeat it all again until you get back up to the C. And then again, the important thing is when you finish the exercise, when you get back up to that C, you count the bar rest and you hold the shape. Now, if you've never done an exercise like that before, things are going to start to hurt and it's going to sting, but it's in a register that's not too difficult, so you're not going to do any damage. But the important thing is that you make the effort to hold the shape, keep the instrument on your face, keep the mouthpiece on your face, and you just kind of, you push through the pain barrier. If you get any kind of, like, you know, the muscles might start to shake, they might start to burn, this might start to tingle or feel a bit weird because you're maybe not used to doing that, but it's a kind of low impact but high result physical exercise, so and it's great for stamina. I wouldn't do too much of it, maybe one time through it every other day, and it's a really good place to start building stamina as an exercise like that. So anyway, Musical Calisthenics for Brass by Carmine Caruso, I remembered. Okay, so there you go.